Okay, just a quick video. This is for MFG 205. Looking at the second project here. we've got a Boolean remove that we need to do on this particular project. Not very complicated as far as the machining operations are concerned, but you will need to have a Boolean remove operation in your Mastercam file. So here we've got a breakdown of the grading. And then down here, this is a print of the project that we did in MFG 201. We're not machining this project. We're going to use this as a tool body to create this project. So we've got some criteria here that we need to follow. The stock here is 2 by 2 by to be determined. We're going to go with 1 inch for the thickness there. And then we're just going to simply do a few operations to a file that we're going to bring into Mastercam, and then we will we'll clean it up a little bit and use it as a tool body to remove some stock from a block that we put in there. So I'm just going to demonstrate the start of this, and I'm not going to be really doing the tool paths on here. I'll just be getting us to the point where we have this, and then also talking about what needs to be in the Mastercam file. I need to be able to see a few things in there. So I'm going to pause and switch over to a different section of my screen here. Okay, so here we are in Mastercam. We're going to go ahead and bring in the file that's provided on the Moodle page for this project. Here it is. Okay, as you can see, this file was created in a previous version of Mastercam. That's no big deal. I don't care about that. I'm just going to use this as a tool body. Let's go ahead and look at levels and see what we got here. Levels, we have one entity. It's a solid model. That's all we have. Let's look at the solid history. Nothing. So we have no history whatsoever. We just have this solid model with no wireframe whatsoever. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this as a tool body, but we need to work on this a little bit. So what I need to do with this is I need to get rid of the chamfers and these holes. So I'm going to use model prep to prepare this before I do my Boolean operation. We are going to need to create a block, but we're not ready to do that yet. So let's go ahead and go into model prep and clean this thing up and get it ready to use as a tool. So I could use push-pull for some things. I could remove some fillets. I don't really have fillets, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use modify feature here. So modify feature, and then I'm going to get in here and I'm going to pick all 4 of these holes. Okay, so you can see as I rotate this around, I pick the holes going all the way through, and then I'm also going to need to pick the countersinks. Let's pick all 4 of those. All right. And then I also need to pick the chamfers around here, and I'm just simply going to use this modify feature to delete all this stuff that I don't really need. Picking these one at a time. And by the way, if you accidentally pick something you didn't want to pick, you just pick it again and it unselects it. Okay, so I paused there because my dog was creating a crazy amount of noise with a orange juice bottle that he got out of the recycle bin. Anyway, you didn't really need to know that, but okay, so anyway, as I said, if you accidentally pick something and you don't want it to be included, just select it again, it'll get rid of it. So now I have everything selected that I want to really get rid of. Now, you got to be careful. If you try to remove faces, it'll just kind of leave this thing looking hollow. And so I'm selecting features using the modify feature command that I want to get rid of. So it's kind of like these would be, if I had a solid history, these would be extruded holes. This would be possibly if you went under solids, it would be a chamfer, a 1 distance chamfer, maybe a 2 distance chamfer. In this case, it's a 1. This might not be. This might be a countersink. But anyway, I've selected all of that, and now what I really want to do is remove all of those things. So I'll pick OK, and I'm finished. I've selected everything I want to get rid of. So I've basically got this thing in the form that exactly the form that I need to use it as a tool body to remove some material from a block that I'm going to create. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and create a block. So this one here, this solid that I brought in, it's on level 10. So I'm going to switch to another level so I can deal with both of my solids separately so that I can turn them on and off here and not have to deal with the other one. Okay, let's go ahead and go into solids. I'm just going to create a block, but I do need to switch to a different level. So I'll just use level 5 here. And this will be new solid. You can name it whatever you want, something that makes sense. Maybe a Boolean remove solid would be great. I could name it Wes's cool new solid, whatever. Anyway, so there you have it. So now that's my current level, is my main level. So anything that I create, you can see there's no entities here. Anything that I create will end up on this level. And that thing is popping up again. Let's get rid of that. It's just reminding me that I created this in a previous version, and I won't be able to go back to that version if I save this. It's okay. I'm going to go ahead, and this is all prepped, so I'm going to save this file, save as, and I'm saving mine back to my folder here in the machining project there. And this one here is, I'm just going to name it Boolean remove. Okay, why not? Oops, I don't know how I hit my cap locks. Boolean remove project. How's that? Okay, there we go. I don't have to worry about that popping up. This is saved in Mastercam 2021 now. And I'm ready to go ahead and create my block. So I'm going to create a block here. I'm going to anchor it based on the center. I'm just going to snap to the origin and pick a size here and a depth. And the size stock that we're using for this project is 2 inches by 2 inches. And I've decided to make mine 1 1/8. So negative 1.125. And there's a block there. Now I could almost get away with 1 inch. Let's look at this from the front. So you can see there's quite a bit. I made it 1 1/8. That's really too much. Let's back this off a little bit. I'll just make it a 1 inch block. And that's plenty of material. We can hold on to this thing without any issues. We're not machining anything on the outside, but you could certainly stick enough of this up out of the vise if you wanted to run a little corner break around here too. You can. It's not required for the project. We will be needing some corner breaks around here and down here when we're ready to put the machining processes on. But anyway, so I'm creating this. This is a separate solid. It should be good to go here. Let me pick OK. So now I have 2 solids on my screen, 2 entities on there. I know what it is. When you create a block, it throws a point on there. So I'm going to select the point and delete it. I don't want the point. So now I have two levels here. One's my new solid, which is the block, which I've done nothing with yet other than create it. And then the second one here is the solid model that I'm going to use to cut the block out. And so I need to have them both kind of accessible here. Now at this point, it's very important that as you go to create solids over here, that we start to build a history here. Okay, so right now the solid that we brought in was just a body. This one here is just a block, so no big deal here. I've created no wireframe other than that point that was created when I created the block. Got rid of that, don't need it. And so at this point I'm in my solids menu and I'm going to use this Boolean operation, this function right here. And so this allows me to combine two solids. I mean, like if I wanted both of these to become a single solid, it'd be kind of crazy for me to do that because this one's completely embedded in this one and would just make it a block. But I can also use one solid to cut away from another, which is what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and go to Boolean, and I should have a prompt here that's telling me select the target body. Now there's 2 bodies that I'm working on with this function. The target body is the body that I'm trying to work on, okay? And so I'm working on this block that I created. I want to cut away from it, but this is my target, the one that I'm trying to make modifications to. So I picked that as my target body. Okay, now it's asking me to select tool bodies. I only have one that I can select here, but as you can see, when I hover over it, I really can't grab it that well. I could reselect all, or I can add to the selection. Let's see if this helps me. And I'm trying to pick that one there, and it's really, I'm not really getting it. So in this situation, it might be advantageous for me to just turn the level of this one completely off. Move this out of the way. So the level on my new body, if I turn that off, now I can only pick this body. Okay, let's turn this one back on. Go back over to my Boolean operation. And so now it's actually giving me a preview here. It's a Boolean add, remove, or common. And I'm currently on add. So that's, like I said before, add will just combine the two and turn it into basically a block in this case, because one was embedded in the other. But if I select remove, I should get a preview of what will be removed from one of the bodies. Okay, so in this situation, you can see what happened. The tool body isn't really visible, but what the result of the tool body interacting with the target body here is exactly what I'm going for. So this is a successful Boolean subtract or remove operation. Let's pick OK. Okay, so now we take a look at our solid history, and I've got a solid history here, I've got a block, and then I have this Boolean remove in the tree. So Boolean remove, and inside of that there's a solid body, and this is kind of showing me, representing where that body resided. And so this all sticks with the Boolean remove. We don't need to look at it anymore. But nevertheless, that it's showing me what the Boolean remove actually did here. There's the block, there's the Boolean remove. I can just go back to solid. And now I've successfully got myself to the point where I have exactly what I want and what I need. All right. There is some other modification that you're going to need to do with this before. So I'm looking, okay, I want to be clear about this. I will be looking for this Boolean remove operation. So don't go back into model prep and do anything in there after you do this. You want to prep everything, get it all ready, and then do the Boolean remove, so when I grade your project, I can see that you actually do indeed have a Boolean remove operation in your solid here. And it should look pretty much just like this. Okay, I should be able to expand this, and see what you have going on here. I don't really care about that, but I definitely want to see this. And you should have a single solid here and not multiple solids that you're dealing with. It just gets rid of it. It kind of takes the tool body and hides it. Okay, it gets rid of it. I could delete this and my tool body would actually come back, which I do not want to do. I'm going to leave this alone. This might be a great time to save. Let me go ahead and save it. Save it. Okay, so I've saved that. Now all I have left is I got to get my little chamfer around here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm under solids, not going into model prep again. We don't want to do that. I'm going to do a one distance chamfer. Okay, and I want to pick this edge right here. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that and pick OK. And I want this to propagate along tangencies. Anything that's tangent, I want it to kind of follow that around. So you notice how I only had to pick one entity and then it found all these tangencies and did the whole thing. Now this distance is not correct. Looking at the file, or the cover sheet and the print and the notes on the print for this project, it says to match this chamfer with the size chamfer that was on the actual part, which was 30 thousandths. So at this point I've got this chamfer operation. It looks good. Pick OK. And so you should end up with this layout here. You should have a solid, there's a block, there's a Boolean remove operation, and then you've gone back in and added a one distance chamfer that was 30 thousandths. So at this point, this is perfect. I mean, this is exactly what you should have, and I can start programming it. Okay, let me go ahead and save that. So once you have all this, then you can start to go to toolpaths and you can select your machine and go through all that process. Notice how I did not put a chamfer down here. So this is not going to be a chamfer. I mean, there will be a corner break there, but there's no chamfer down there. So I'm not looking to see a 30 thousandths chamfer down here. Okay. We'll do like, a 5/1000 corner break, work excellent for down there. And if you do want to do a corner break around this edge here, you don't need to put it on the model. So this is what the model should look like. Okay, so there you have it.